And welcome. Welcome to our 35th annual Saints Hall of Fame Induction Luncheon. On behalf of our entire board of directors for the Saints Hall of Fame and the New Orleans Saints, we thank you for being here to support our NFL team that we love so dearly. I'm Ken Trahan, General Manager of the Saints Hall of Fame of Crescent City Sports and Cumulus Radio New Orleans. And once again, we are very thrilled to be here today to honor two outstanding individuals. As we get started today, we'll call upon Michael Green of Lifegate Ministries to perform our invocation. Michael? You want to stand?
Please stand. And remain standing, please. This is the day the Lord hath made. It's a celebration on so many levels. Oh, when the saints go marching in. 1938, a New Orleans guy sang that, and it's been in the ears of the world. It still rings today. So let's pray, saints. Heavenly Father, on this day of celebration, we give you thanks for the blessings that we have received. We're thankful for a nation where we can still pray like this. We're thankful for so much. We pray your blessings upon each one gathered here today. We pray special blessings upon the honorees. To Doug, who personifies the scripture words, if you would be great in God's kingdom, be servant of all. To Drew, who brought an infectious spirit of hope to a city that was hopeless, while still digging through storm debris, both physical and emotional. To these men and their families, may this day be a joyful memory of blessing. As we honor excellence, it's only fitting that we pause to honor the leadership legacy of Tom Benson. And we ask your continued blessing on Miss Gail and her team today as they follow this legacy of excellence. We also pray your blessings on those who have made the great plans to make this day work. We pray that you would bless our food, bless our fellowship. We pray this in the name of your Son. His name is above every name. And all the saints said, amen. Remain standing.
Please remain standing. Please remain standing. We have our flag staged right for our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. For our welcome today, we are blessed to have the greatest ambassador, if you will, and also provider for our community and beyond. If there's a cause, she's probably behind it. And we've seen so many of those on a personal level, but also on a professional level, and bless so many different entities in our communities and continues to do that. Of course, she's kind of busy these days with a couple of teams that are playing already. One, an NBA team that starts playing for real next week, our New Orleans Pelicans, and of course our beloved New Orleans Saints, where her and her beloved husband have taken over a franchise and made it successful and kept it right here where it belongs for all these years. We are forever grateful for that. We're also grateful for her for many other things, which I'll detail here in just a few minutes. But with that, for our welcome today, please give a warm welcome to New Orleans Saints and New Orleans Pelicans owner, Gail Benson. Gail?
Thank you, Kenny. Good afternoon, everyone. I am truly humbled to stand before you today in the heart of New Orleans, a city alive with passion, resilience, and a deep love for the game we all cherish. As we gather here today at the Hilton Riverside for this special induction luncheon, I would like to extend my warmest welcome to each and every one of you. Your presence here today as dedicated supporters of our beloved saints speaks volume about the community we have built together. Today we celebrate two remarkable individuals whose legacies are forever intertwined with the New Orleans Saints, Drew Brees and Doug Moreau. Their contributions to our organization and our city are nothing short of extraordinary, and it is only fitting that we take this moment to honor them. First, let us turn our attention to Drew Brees. Drew, you are not only just a quarterback. You are a symbol of perseverance, excellence, and unwavering commitment Your arrival in New Orleans in 2006 was the dawn of a new era for our franchise. With each snap, you not only led our team on the field, you led a renaissance for a city that was rebuilding and healing from adversity. You played with an intensity and passion that inspired not only your teammates, but also fans around the world. Your record-breaking performances speak for themselves. But beyond the statistics, what truly sets you apart is your character. You showed us the power of hard work, humility, and dedication. You made every single player around you better, not just through your talent, but through your leadership and relentless drive. And let us not forget your profound impact off the field. Your commitment to the New Orleans community has been nothing short of transformative. From the Brees Dream Foundation to countless initiatives supporting education, health, and wellness, you have shown that true greatness extends beyond the playing field. You have lifted up our community, providing that spirit of the Saints is not just about winning, but about making a difference. And for that, we thank and appreciate you for that gift and sharing your talent. Thank you. And now turning to Doug Moreau, our longtime Saints press box public address announcer. We have someone whose voice has become synonymous with Saints football. Doug, you have been an integral part of our game day experience for 27 years. Your unmistakable voice has resonated with local and national media members, giving life to every touchdown, every tackle, and every unforgettable moment in Saints history. Your love of the game and for this team shines through everything you do today and have done. Your dedication has not only enriched the experience of our media and fans, but has also set the standard for professionalism in sports announcing. We thank you and appreciate your gift and for sharing your talent. Both Drew and Doug have shown us what it means to be part of the Saints family. Today, they embody the values of hard work, dedication, and love for this city. Their legacies will continue to inspire generations of players, fans, and community members. And as we move forward with today's celebration, I invite all of you to join me in expressing our deepest gratitude to Drew Brees and Doug Moreau for their extraordinary contributions to the New Orleans Saints and our beloved city. Let us celebrate the memories they have created and the futures they have inspired. Thank you, Drew, thank you, Doug, and thank you to all of you for being here today. May you all enjoy a wonderful afternoon, a wonderful evening, and have continued many blessings. Thank you.
Each and every year, we honor those associated with the New Orleans Saints organization whom we have lost. They may be gone from this earth, but they're not forgotten. And thus, we recognize them annually. And we do that here now with our video tribute, our in memoriam to our departed saints.
cherish all the times we had together, and would definitely this community will absolutely miss Ed.
I'm kind of surprised that there were that many people that knew the real one. I mean, everything they're saying is true. And not too many people you can say that about.
I mean, I saw it written that there weren't enough hours in the day for Ed, or days in the week, or weeks in the year. That's probably true. You could not outwork this man. He was just a grinder in the best sense of the word.
Ed took me under his wing as soon as I got to WGNO, and he knew how far away I was from my family, and he always looked out for me. He always asked about my family.
But he would treat a Carr, Curtis game like it was the Super Bowl. No different coverage, same attitude, same way he approached it.
Everybody who's ever covered sports in New Orleans is here today, and that says a lot about how respected he was in the industry, what he did for high school sports, especially in New Orleans. I mean, it goes unmatched. I mean, there'll never be another Ed Daniels.
Most people play high school sports, including myself. Now, that doesn't transition into college, and only a few people in college get into professional. He gave that voice and that face to those people at a lot younger age than normal to, and that's a tribute to him.
What he did to help people get started in their careers, to nurture their careers, to help people who had nothing to do with communications or broadcasting or journalism, but just helping them with other jobs.
We created a ton of things, but the best thing was Friday Night Football. To know the impact Ed has made on the lives of the young people that he covered, they'll never forget being on Friday Night Football. I know that Ed he would want that show to live on.
Few of us here today wearing Ed stickers. You'll notice that. And also, I want everyone to know, and most people do, but many don't, that during the period that Ed was stricken, the New Orleans Saints stepped up in a gigantic way to make sure that he was returned home to his hometown, so that if he was going to leave this world, it was going to be here and at Oxnard, where he had his doctors and the people that he loved and trusted. And the people responsible for doing that, and it was no small task financially, are sitting right next to me. Ms. Gail Benson, Dennis Lauscha, along with Greg Bensel. And on behalf of the Daniels family, and Robin is here today. Robin, if you don't mind, stand up and take a bow so that people recognize you. And while you're at it, please give Mrs. Benson, Dennis, Greg Bensel, and the Saints organization, and Mickey Loomis as well, for their generosity and their caring. Understand one thing, Ed was a journalist. He didn't always say the things that they wanted to hear, but he was the fairest guy and the best at what he did and the hardest worker, and he happened to be my best friend. So please give Mickey, Gail, Dennis, Greg Bensel a big round of applause. Ed was also a member of our media selection committee from day one in 1988. He cared deeply about this and making sure that it was preserved properly, and also that the people that were elected were people that were extremely deserving. Speaking of deserving, it's time for our Joe Gemelli Fleur de Lis Award, which honors an individual who has given tirelessly of time, love, devotion for the betterment of the New Orleans Saints Football Club. And as we draw your attention to the screens once again, we have a testimonial from some people that understand just how significant this individual was. Our Joe Gemelli Fleur de Lis Award recipient, Doug Moreau. Check the video.
Congratulations to my old friend Doug Moreau. Of course, he's going into the Saints Hall of Fame. For me, games in the Superdome would not be the same without Doug. He's done a spectacular job in the press box, and he has done a great job for decades. It was an easy choice from the Hall of Fame committee. Congratulations, Doug. It's well deserved.
Doug, I would like to sincerely congratulate you on being this year's recipient of the Joe Gemelli Fleur de Lis Award. I can't think of a more deserving recipient based on all of your years to the service to the Saints, as well as service to the New Orleans sports scene. I'm proud to have you as a friend and as a colleague. Congratulations, Doug.
I hired Doug in 1988 to work as a graduate assistant at what is now UL Lafayette. And he ended up replacing me there when I left to come back to New Orleans and work at Tulane. And when he left Lafayette and came back to New Orleans and got into the teaching profession, one of the first moves that I made was to reach out to him and have him become my press box PA announcer at Tulane. And he'd already done some of that as well for the Sugar Bowl when he'd come back in during the holidays to help us with the game. And that, in a large way, led to the opportunity to get that role with the Saints.
Doug, I'd like to congratulate you on your award with the Joe Gemelli Hall of Fame. Great honor for you. It's been a pleasure working with you all these years. Wish you nothing but the best of luck, my friend.
Congratulations, Doug. I know the time that you put in, the years and stuff like that, kind of a hardship. You put in the time and effort. Congratulations again.
Congratulations to Doug for the Fleur de Lis Award. So very much deserved. There are certain staples of a home game here at Caesars Superdome, and Doug, you are one of them. I can't imagine being in this press box without hearing your voice and without you working these games. And let's just hope that they just keep stacking these W's on top of each other. Congratulations, well earned.
He's done this a long time. He's one of the best in the industry. Always reliable, always here and on time. And Doug, congratulations.
Hey Doug, congratulations on the honor. Obviously well-deserved in the Hall of Fame. 20 plus years doing anything is an accomplishment in and of itself, but to be at the high level you've been, we all look up to you and you carry us through in a lot of situations. Thank you for your help. Congratulations again.
Dougie, congratulations, buddy, for all your years of doing the jobs that you do around here, not just up here in the press box, and for Saints games, but for your high school games and everything. But do I get a little honorable mention for being your backup all these years also? Congratulations, buddy.
I've known you for more than 30 years. I played college baseball for your father. Your family is amazing. You are amazing. You're an amazing teacher at Christian Brothers School. You're a fantastic kayaker who started kayaking clubs for young students around the metro area. You are the best statistician that there is, and your work ethic is second to none. I am proud to be in the De La Salle High School Sports Hall of Fame with you, and it makes me proud, emotional, happy. I don't know if I have a big enough vocabulary to describe how happy I am. You are now the newest member of the Saints Hall of Fame. You are truly an inspiration. Congratulations, Doug.
People don't realize all the things that Doug does other than the microphone. He took one of my writing classes at the University of New Orleans, 8 a.m., I might mention, Tuesday and Thursday mornings. And at the same time, he was doing a gig at the Parkway Tavern spinning oldies. Well, he's in my class, 8 a.m. after having done a gig till Lord knows what time of the morning. Sometimes I'm sure it was 4 a.m. And he was dutifully in his seat at 8 a.m. on UNO's campus every blessed Tuesday and Thursday. And Doug has turned out to be quite an expert on American classics and teaches at Christian Brothers School. Doug's a very interesting young man.
Doug Moreau, educator, announcer, DJ, overcomer. Congratulations, my friend, on an extremely well-deserved honor. You're an inspiration to many. Keep up the great work. Here to present Doug Moreau for Saints Hall of Fame honors this afternoon, and for the Joe Gemelli Fleur de Lis Award, is Gabe DeRoca. Gabe, come on up.
Thank you, Kenny. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for being here to honor a man whose voice and dedication have been a steadfast presence in the New Orleans sports world. First, I'd like to thank Doug for having me introduce him, and having the confidence in me, a person who is not really used to speaking in front of large crowds. So with that, I'd like to tell you that I am a dentist by profession, and I'm used to a more up-close and personal speaking environment. So if you could just lean back in your chairs, tilt your head slightly to the right, and open your mouth real wide, I think I can get through this. Since 1977, I've been on the Saints game day stat crew as the spotter for the press box PA announcer. I have worked with a few seasoned members of the New Orleans media over those years, but in 1998, I was told I was going to be working with a 7th grade literature teacher from Christian Brothers School. My first thought was, I'm going to have to train this guy, because what does a literature teacher know about announcing sports? Well, let me tell you a little bit. Doug is a native New Orleanian, grew up in the Mid-City area, is a graduate of De La Salle High School in 1980 and University of New Orleans 1985. He was born with a rare physical condition known as arthrogryposis multiplex congenita, or AMC, which is a condition that affects joint mobility. Now, Doug, I know you practice a lot for when you had to say TJ Hushmanzada, but it came out as Hushmanzadu. Over the years, Doug has had to endure many surgical procedures. He has faced each one head-on with courage and determination, a determination to live life to its fullest. His parents recognized his love for sports, but since his ability to compete in organized sports along with his brothers was restricted, they found other avenues for him to get involved. His dad, a coach, would have him participate with his teams in other important roles like scorekeeper, equipment boy, and even assistant coach. It was in the 4th grade when his teacher recognized Doug's God-given talent, his voice. At the age of 10, he began his announcing career by lending his voice to the New Orleans Recreation Department Babe Ruth Baseball League. What started as a young boy's passion quickly grew into a career that spanned decades and crossed multiple sports, from high school and college athletics to professional football, basketball, and baseball. His talent, precision, attention to detail have made him a trusted and vital part of every game he has called. Doug is entering his 52nd year of New Orleans sports, announcing New Orleans sports events, and he's 27th with the New Orleans Saints. As the voice of the press box, Doug just doesn't narrate the action on the field. He meticulously delivers split-second information to the media, ensuring that the intricacies of every game are crystal clear. He announces inactive players, play-by-play in real time, injury reports and updates, explanations of replay review outcomes, and much more. He is responsible for ensuring that every statistic and clarification is accurate and timely, helping all the media in the press box to develop their stories as the game goes on. This assures that a high-quality report of all the action is delivered to you, the public. Doug's contribution does not stop at the microphone. He's a dedicated educator, shaping young minds, where his passion for learning and adventure inspires his students. He is the moderator for the school's canoe, kayak, and biking clubs, encouraging students to explore the world around them with the same enthusiasm and discipline he brings to the press box. In 2014, Doug's compassion took him on a new journey. He became a national advocate for AMC. His advocacy has raised awareness and promoted research, all the while spreading a powerful message. No matter what life throws at you, you can achieve any goal you set your mind to. Doug's story is one of devotion, dedication, resilience, and a deep commitment to service. Whether he's providing crucial game information to the press or guiding the next generation in the classroom, Doug's influence is felt far and wide. Doug, congratulations. I'm blessed to have you as a friend. You're the best of the best. Ask anybody in the media. Now, Doug and I do have fun doing what we do, but we take it very seriously because we know people depend on us. So, Doug, let's do it another 27 years. What do you think?
Get my hip folder.
Kenny, I apologize for taking over my time limit, but I had too much to say about this awesome selection. It was well deserved. And to you, the audience, I didn't forget about you. You can close your mouth now. Your appointment is over, because now it's time for me to present to you, my friend, and your 2024 Joe Gemelli Fleur de Lis Award recipient, Mr. Doug Moreau.
I just want to let you know after that introduction, I'm now broke for what I had to pay for not only those in the video, but for what Gabe said. But no, thank you, Kenny. Thank you, Gabe. Thank you, Miss Gale, for that wonderful introduction. Thank you, Mr. Lawton. I also want to thank staff of the New Orleans Saints, especially Greg Bensel, who brought me on 27 years ago, Justin Massione for his care and his kindness, the committee for this oh so humbling recognition. And while I know that it's my name that appears there as this recipient of the Joe Gemelli Fleur de Lis Award, I want you to clearly know that there are a lot of names that go in this award. Begins with family. And I hope you feel the way I do about family, because my family is so important. I'm going to start with a little history. You heard some of it. So if you think back in 2009, Gift had this rap song. Yes, I'm talking about a rap song. I didn't think that would ever happen in my life. That opened with the line, "People see me, but they just don't know." You see, my life started with negative words. Don't, won't, never. Because I was born with this condition of arthrogryposis. And on the first day I was born, Mom wanted to hold her newborn. Didn't happen. Mom got sedated. Wow, it got quiet in here. But the next day, a team of doctors came in and eventually transferred us to Toro Hospital because they were connected with this little facility called Crippled Children's Hospital here in New Orleans. Not called that anymore. And after those words, well, Mom took hold of the reins. Mom, encourager, warrior. She told that doctor, "You have a degree. Do your job. Don't cast aside." He did. See, Mom had this idea that this baby was going to be an independent man one day. I think it happened. I'm still working on that. I'm just not so sure. And Mom slept in a hospital chair next to my bed for months, years. And she took that little body and she stood it up when I finally could, after enough casts were put my feet in place, my hands in place, and she encouraged and kept saying, for those of you who are old enough, since a lot of you are, to know broken record style, that you're going to walk one day. and she moved my little legs. Once my feet were planted on the ground, she moved them, and I came from behind. I'm trying to think what curtain it was from Let's Make a Deal. Curtain number 3, and that doctor was doing his rounds, and he dropped to his knees. I walked, and I became independent. Sometimes I got a little too independent, and so Mom brought me back to reality in her way. But that is Mom. Encourager, warrior. Today's world, we use these words, buzz terms, inclusive, inclusion, inclusivity. But Dad had me as his bat boy and ball boy at Bunny Friend Playground, or as a man who's kind of a second father, not Bunny Friend, but Bonnie Friend Playground. And he had me as an assistant coach in American Legion Baseball, his announcer and scorer for Loyola. You know, Dad involved me. He included me. That's family. That's what parents do. And then I've got 2 older brothers. And brotherly love was truly shown, if you know what I mean, when there's just 3 boys in the family. But they would play football with the neighborhood kids on that Orleans Avenue neutral ground. And I would sit on those Saturday mornings listening to my radio. Sorry, Drew, I was listening to Notre Dame football back then. But after the other kids went home, my brothers would stay to let me play. And I wanted to go home. I was tired. So they said, here, take the ball, go home. And they would look at each other and yell, tackle the man with the ball. And I would get mad. Sorry, Miss Gale, it wasn't a Saint player that I used to impersonate. It was number 41 from the Minnesota Vikings, Dave Osborne. He was my favorite running back in the late 60s. And that's what they did to me. But what word, if Dad's is inclusive, Mom's encourage. Well, David and Daryl, their word would be tenacious. That's what they gave me. Never give up. Bust your tail. Work hard. But now I get to needle my brothers and my dad a little bit, because as of today, I'm part of more halls of fame than they are. Well, as Gabe mentioned, there's others who have played a big part in my life. My 4th grade teacher, Miss Caldwell, she's the one who grabbed me and said, you need to learn how to use this voice. You have a God-given talent. And even as a 4th grader, I was a God-fearing young man, and I still am. Plays a big part in our lives. And from there, a year or so later, I was 10 going on 11, and I walked up to that old wooden press box in Wesley Barrow Stadium, and I asked Furman Sims and Ronnie Gonzalez, can I announce my brother when he comes up to bat? And they let me do it. And they said, finish the inning. And a year later, we got 6 games on a Saturday and another 6 on Sunday. You're taking one of the games. I was announcing, I was scoring the games. The players were all older than me. So if I didn't score it right, I was in trouble. Will Penicky, as you saw in the video, I went to his class at 8 o'clock on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Sometimes he said, oh, I might get home at 4 o'clock. There were times I went straight from the bar right to his class. And I had so much respect for Will, still do. But back then, so much respect that I left the drink in the car. Right, I wanted to share a drink with him, but he wouldn't let me. Lenny Van Gilder. We became friends working part-time for the Times-Picayune. and he brought me to USL. And when I came home after my first hip replacement, good, you're here. You're my press box announcer for Tulane. And then I took over for him, as you heard him say, for the Sugar Bowl. And I've been doing that ever since. And then Greg Menzel called Lenny. Who's your press box announcer at Tulane? It was me, Greg. Oh, I know who he is. I don't need an audition. The job's his if he wants it. And the Saints people have been wonderful. These are names. Names outside of family. Names, in my mind, who are on this honor. You know, another name that I've learned from working Tulane, Sugar Bowl, and the Saints games. Gail Latoul. Gail was on the stat crew from the very first season up until his death of cancer. And if I was working some other high school game or college game and a stat came up that I just didn't know what to do, I got Gail on the phone. I pray one day that Gail's name will be on this list because it's so deserving. There are others who are probably more deserving than I am, and I would love to see them on this list. You know, we talk about the closeness of our stat crew, the dedication, but it's friendships that are valued. Gabe isn't just my spotter, he's my friend. I've had to announce in my calm and straightforward ways while he shook me after the Saints won that NFC Championship game and went on to the Super Bowl victory. He also bruised the heck out of me following an incomplete pass that should have been a pass interference call, but wasn't. What we do, we take our work seriously, and we care about one another. I am grateful. I know I was born with this condition of arthrogryposis. I've gained respect from former players, sitting down to dinner with Hokie Gajan, talking before a game, and Zach Strief said that I told him things that Al Michaels had told him. And Al Michaels is one of the most respected announcers ever in the history of televised football. Deuce McAllister and Bobby Hebert, I get to speak with them often. I've sat at pregame meals with NFL legends, Sam Huff, Sonny Jurgensen, Joe Theismann, and Deion Sanders, and listening to those men tell stories. This is a special honor. The passion of our players, coaches, and top executives work similar to the way we do. You know, this Joe Gemelli Award, the clothier has dressed us to look our best and be pleased with it. The restaurateur not only feeds our bellies, but feeds our souls with his exquisite dishes and beautiful atmospheres. The cameraman catches highlights that we get to review over and over again. The trainer takes care of our players' health. Public address announcer, and Mark is here today, leads the enthusiasm of the fans, give the team that dome field advantage. Reporters use a symphony of words to poetically describe the action of a very rough game. The musician calls fans with his trumpet. Press box announcer, I just provide quick, concise, accurate details of each play and other significant notes for the media to relay later. Well, ultimately, I hope that this very humbling honor will show others born with physical disabilities that they too have a place in sports or with any activity that they so love. And I hope for the possibility of having players and organizations become involved with my arthrogryposis community of brothers and sisters, thus adding names to my list of those I'm grateful for. And finally, I want to say I've been asked if I feel overshadowed by going into the Saints Hall of Fame with Drew, and my response is, heck no. This is a huge honor, and I'm honored. I'm no fool. Everybody in this room would love to have pictures with Drew, and understandably so. If both of us walked together out into the lobby, Drew would be flocked for his autograph. But Drew, I want you to feel like one of us today too. So from the press conference, I've got an autographed picture of you and I. Saints forever is what it says on there. So thank you, Drew. And everyone, thank you, and Dick Aloris.
Right here, buddy. Now we'll unveil the Joe Gemelli Fleur de Lis Award, which Mrs. Benson will present to Doug.
Thank you, Ms. Benson. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Doug. In a moment, we break for lunch, but I do want to acknowledge a couple of people at the head table. You're going to hear from a couple of them over here to my left, to your right, so I'll reserve those introductions, but I do want to recognize two people in particular. He, of course, serves as president of the New Orleans Saints and New Orleans Pelicans. He's one of our own from Jesuit High School and has had a remarkable career here, and we're all grateful for everything that he's done and everything that he's accomplished and continues to accomplish running both franchises. Please give a very warm welcome to Dennis Lauscha. Dennis? A gentleman that came to New Orleans from Seattle and brought immediate winning to our city and franchise. And right away, first playoff appearance win in franchise history. The first year he got here, took over as general manager 2 years later, and he's just kept adding titles to, I mean, I've lost count, executive vice president, general manager, and everything else. But more than that, he's a good man, and he's been a great supporter of not only the Saints Hall of Fame, but everything in our community, and he's responsible for building a Super Bowl championship team, 3 NFC playoff teams that made the NFC championship game, and of course, all the other playoff appearances in franchise history. Please give a very warm welcome to Mickey Loomis. Mickey? We have one more award, but we're going to make you wait for that. So we're going to break for lunch right now. Great contributors. First of all, two terrific coaches. They might be wearing the other colors now, but they wore the Saints colors for many years and did a fantastic job, and they're good people. Want to recognize Joe Lombardi and Pete Carmichael, who are here today. Please give them a round of applause. Also like to recognize a guy that was an outstanding player for the Saints, a very fine announcer, I might add as well, and then he got the itch to get back into coaching, first with the Saints and now with the Broncos. One of our treasured, valued Saints alumni, Zach Streif. Zach? Last but not least, he spent 16 years here, 15 years coaching on the sideline, or occasionally in the press box if he had a knee injury. And he led the Saints to a Super Bowl championship in Super Bowl 44, and to 3 NFC championship games, and to 6 division titles, and to 9 playoff appearances, and gave the Saints the ultimate of great success. More than that, he gave back to the community. He appreciates the history of the game more than any coach I've ever dealt with, and he's been a fantastic contributor and assistant and promoter of the Saints Hall of Fame, where he'll reside one day. Please give a very warm welcome, give an ovation to Sean Payton.
All right, let's be honest. Enough of the fucking pleasantries. We'll see you guys in about 4 hours.
Thank you so much, Sean. I hope you get your rear end kicked tonight, man. And then we'll talk tomorrow as great friends again. Sean's running the 40 in about 4.4 right now. He's got to get back to deal with those other guys wearing, I don't know, who wears orange anyway, so it's all good. Of course, we're here now for one purpose, and that's for our lone inductee into the Saints Hall of Fame for 2024, 35th annual induction. And as we get to that, I want to acknowledge the members of our media selection committee, many of whom are here today. They work tirelessly at this. They take great pride in it and do a terrific job of debating. Fortunately, there was zero debate this year. I started the meeting, and a minute later it was over. I can't imagine why. But I'd like to acknowledge our media selection committee members and ask each and every one of them here today to please take a bow. Please do. Also want to acknowledge our outstanding board members who give unbelievably and tirelessly of their time to make this happen. Craig Mooney is our chairman. He's here today, but many of our board members are here today supporting this. I'd ask them all to please rise right now. All of our Saints Hall of Fame board members, please rise, be acknowledged. And of course, Jay sat down, but it's good. So with that, we draw your attention to the screens. You just witnessed 25 minutes of the brilliance of Drew Brees in a New Orleans Saints uniform, and the coaches that he loved and loved him that thought it was appropriate to surprise him here today, which I've known about for a few months, and they've been asking me to please not say a word to him, so he'll attest to that. I did not, but they wanted to be here on his behalf. That's how much they love and treasure him as a player, even though they're on the other side now. So as you draw your attention to the big screens, just a quick interlude as to what Drew Brees did in New Orleans and what he meant to this city and this franchise.
Drew Brees, quarterback, Purdue Boilermakers.
To have been given the opportunity there when not a lot of people wanted to give me that opportunity, and really to start from scratch with building a team, building a mindset, and setting those goals that we knew we could achieve through hard work and through trust in one another. And
hey, we can't wait for this to come to us. We gotta go take it.
What can I say? We played for so much more than just ourselves. We played for our city. We played for the entire Gulf Coast region, who was behind us, every step of the way.
540 touchdowns. Yeah! Drew Brees, take a bow.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get ready to party with the Lombardi, New Orleans.
It's already started. I promise you, my friend.
The Saints have won the Super Bowl.
I'm grateful for a lot of things in my life. I'm most grateful to be a part of this.
When I say 9, you say 10. When I say win, you say again. 9, win, win.
What can I say? We've been blessed with so much, and just to have this opportunity is unbelievable.
He's turned over the hype on the field to DeMario, but that's all good because they're great friends and wonderful people. We're blessed to have Small Sliders and Walk-Ons, two companies that Drew is deeply affiliated with, represented here today, and want to welcome Brandon Landry, who is a founder of Walk-Ons, a phenomenal story, a couple of walk-ons at LSU, and the rest is history. They've formed an incredible franchise over so many years that's branched out all over Louisiana and beyond. Brandon Landry of Walk-Ons. Brandon?
Appreciate it. Thank you guys for having us here. And Drew, man, congrats, brother. And Brittany as well, because as we know, no Hall of Fame journey is alone. And with family and everything that you kind of had a few things going on, it's a partnership. So from our walk-ons and Smalls family, we're just honored to be a part of this. It's truly special. Our partnership started over a decade ago when I get a call from Chris Stewart, who's Drew's agent, and he said, hey, Drew wants to talk to you. And he said, look, I'm going to pick up Drew in the car in a few minutes. And look, I'm a South Louisiana kid, Saints fan. He calls back an hour later. He said, hey, Brendan, this is Drew. I was like, hey, Drew Brees, how can I help you? He said he wanted to be a part of our walk-ons family, and it's the best decision I've ever made. And then when we started Smalls, I was telling Drew about this idea that I had, and he said, typical Drew fashion, I want in. I said, I want you in. Let's go do this, man. And so the partnership has been special. Aside from football, I've learned a lot from Drew. 3 key points: leadership, just the way you led the team and you carry yourself on a daily basis. Treating people with respect, whether he was talking to one of our CEOs sitting here at the table or our first day dishwasher, he treated them with the utmost respect. And I think the last and probably the most important was being a great father and what you do with your family. And it was funny, I saw you guys a little while ago. Here you are in your Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and you're like, eat with your fork? Brittany was all on you boys. So get after it. Quick story, and I'll be done with this. It really epitomizes what Drew is. And so, as you alluded to a little while ago, they may or may not have a call that was missed a few years ago. And I never wanted to cry at a sporting event since I struck out in Little League. And I remember speaking to Drew a couple weeks after the Super Bowl. I don't know if you remember this story. And I said, man, I'm just distraught. How are you? He's like, man, I worry about things that I can control. And he goes, unfortunately, I can't control whether that ref threw the flag or not. He goes, more importantly, if you remember the play before that, 13 was coming across the field on a slant route, and I hit him at the ankles. He goes, I make that throw 99 out of 100 times, probably with his eyes closed. He goes, I could control that. He goes, I'm more upset about that than I am the flag not being thrown. And I'm sitting here like, damn, he really is Brees' Christ. I was like, does he do anything freaking wrong? And so, but I'll never forget that, man, because, I try to carry that in my life. I mean, there's things going on, as we know, in the world, and now I just worry about the things that I can control. So I knew that day. I knew before that, but that definitely solidified it that day that he's a better human being than he ever was a football player. So we're proud to be here, man. From our walk-ons and Smalls family, we're proud to be a part of this ceremony. Congrats, buddy. You truly deserve it. And I remember your last year as that arm strength started going away, and listened to the talk shows, and they said, man, this guy should just be flipping burgers. Well, now you are, brother. You with me? We sell burgers and beer for a living, so congrats, man. Proud to call you a friend.
Great story. Walk on small sliders, indeed. Here to present Drew Brees into the Saints Hall of Fame is a guy that, well, he helped him a little bit to get here today, and probably helped in reciprocal fashion that he'll be here one day, I would imagine. He was the best tight end in football over a couple of year period, unquestionably. Led the NFL in touchdown receptions with 16 in a single season. And of course, he caught well over 80 passes in 3 straight years from this guy. And there's so many memorable ones I can't remember. But he came back and had that farewell tour, if you will, last year. And even though he wasn't on the field a lot, he put the ball in the end zone quite a bit without number 9. It's pretty good. And of course, 13 years in the span of his NFL career, but this is home and this is his team. And we're so happy to have him here today to present Drew Brees into the Saints Hall of Fame. Please give a warm welcome as I raise the microphones a lot higher to Jimmy Graham. Jimmy?
Good morning. So I've got a problem. I've got two speeches, one I wrote and then one from the heart. And you know, like Drew Brees told me when I was young, just get open. So this one will be from the heart. You know, when someone goes and has a career like Drew Brees, everybody remembers the stats. So some of the stats: 8,358 passing yards, 572 touchdowns. Career completion percentage, 67.7. 7,000 completions, 54 consecutive games with touchdowns. I could probably do that for the next 2 hours, but I'm gonna spare you. And let me tell you who he is as a person and what made him special, and what made him much more than any Hall of Fame could ever be. And that's the leadership that he brings. The leadership that he brought to me, to everyone over there, to this city, and everyone sitting in this room today. I don't want to get too serious, so I remember when I first got to New Orleans, I didn't know much about football at all. Actually, I knew very little, and he believed in me, and he gave me hope in myself before I even understood, you know, what 3rd and 15 really meant and how difficult that was to convert. And he did it with, first starting with resilience. As we all know, in 2005, he was severely hurt, had to have shoulder reconstructive surgery. And that was the same year that Katrina came through here. I was at the University of Miami and it hit us as well. And this group, Mickey included, believed in him. And what we saw was him rise with this city and bring this city back. Gave us all hope. Gave everyone in here a reason to keep fighting and to build this city back to what it is today. Another thing that separated him more than anybody that I was ever around, you know, I was blessed enough to continue my career and play with 4 Super Bowl champions. But what made Drew so special was his discipline. How disciplined, how dedicated he was to this game. I remember, and I still, even after I left this building, received videos at 11:30 at night of tight ends getting open. And that's what makes him special, his dedication to be first in the building and last out. To still be there at 10:30 watching film before iPads was the most insane thing I've ever seen, and it inspired me. It inspired me to do better and to become the player that I became. And then back to his leadership. His leadership style, as I went through my career, I got to appreciate how special it really was. You know, his leadership style was not demeaning. His leadership style was leading first by action and then loving on you even when you broke off a route and there was an interception, which happened to me my second year. And I remember his words after that. Most quarterbacks, if you're double covered and you break off that route and you end up throwing an interception, there's a few choice words on the sideline. But I remember he came to me and told me, listen, I don't care if the whole team's on you, I'm still gonna throw it. And that's the type of leader that we had. And I'm blessed to be up here, I'm blessed to sit up here and introduce not only my leader, but my brother, who has been there for me through some of the darkest times in my life, and this is a true honor. And now from the speech, since it's less from the heart, Drew, you didn't just lead the team, you led the city. And today we honor not just your stats and records, but your spirit, your character, the love you gave New Orleans. Congratulations on the well-deserved induction into the Saints Hall of Fame. Thank you for everything you've done for this team, this city, and for every single fan, including myself. That's it.
Houston, Texas, 2011. I'm telling you, it's crazy the things I forget. Like when my wife tells me, "Hey, you need to just pick a child up at this time, and then just grab this from the grocery store," and I'll forget 68% of those things, and yet I can recall plays from 15 years ago like that. This is an incredible honor. First off, to Jimmy, I've had so many great teammates in my career, in my life, but you're absolutely no time left. To say that Jimmy inspired me and our team on a daily basis would be an understatement. I'll never forget when we drafted him in 2010, third round pick. It was a little bit surprising because it was like, we just drafted a guy in the third round who had 11 catches in college. He played 1 year of college football. Mickey, what were you thinking? But then you start looking a little bit closer and say, well, 7 of those 11 were touchdowns. So there must be some traits there that we can do something with. And you very quickly realize that Jimmy Graham walked in the building that he was going to be a special player, but beyond that, he was going to be a special teammate and a brother for life. Call him a little brother, but not so little. Quite a bit bigger. But I have many number 80 jerseys that still sit in with Graham on that. One of our all-time favorites. Always will. I'd like to thank so many people. I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee, the selection committee members. Thank you for all that you do for the Saints organization, for players that dedicated so much to this organization.
Deserve to continue to be recognized beyond their playing days. This is a great opportunity to do that. It gives us a great excuse to come back and be able to reminisce and reflect and celebrate a little bit together. I've had the chance, as many of us have over the last 10 years of my playing career, to watch so many of my former teammates be inducted in the Saints Hall of Fame. And it's been a joy each and every time, because it just reminds you, honestly, of why we all played this game. We played this game to be the very best. We played this game to win championships, but we played this game for the brotherhood and the relationships and for each other. So thank you for that. Thank you to Mrs. Benson and to the entire Saints organization. You are the classiest, most caring, most generous person and owner in all of professional sports. And the team that you have put together that's been a part of that for so many years. Mickey, Dennis, and others. We've always been an organization that's done things the right way, and that's because you set the tone. To Mr. B, I will always cherish the moments that I had a chance to be called into Mr. Benson's office back in my early days. He served as a grandfatherly figure in so many ways, not just to me, but to a lot of guys on the team. A lot of times I would walk in his office and he would throw the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times in front of me, and he'd have something highlighted or circled and say, look what the Federal Reserve did today. I was like, Mr. B, I'm just trying to figure out how to beat the Atlanta Falcons this week, sir. That happened a lot, but so much wisdom and so much caring that I felt from Mr. Benson. And I think his passion for this team and this community was pretty evident every time we saw him in public or on the field. and many iconic moments, and he'll live with us forever. Thank you very much to the Smalls and Walk-Ons team for sponsoring today's luncheon. I was going to say, if you want the best cheeseburger slider you've ever had in your life, it's just right on. I'm just kidding. Not really. It's awesome. Thank you, guys. I get a chance to transition from being being a part of one of the greatest teams and organizations in all of professional football to being part of one of the greatest organizations and teams in all of franchising. So thank you all. To my family, no matter where we live, no matter where we go, for the rest of the time, when people ask our kids where they are from New Orleans. Hard to believe that my son Balin, who we held up at the Super Bowl back in Rylan, which one is Balin? So, they're right there, okay. That's what little sisters are for, ladies and gentlemen. He is now a sophomore in high school. I know. And when asked where he wants to go, it's LSU Tigers, baby. So the New Orleans roots run deep, I'm just telling you, and that's not going anywhere. I'd say that a lot of my career and my time in professional football and here is pretty well documented, but I wanted to take this time to maybe give you a little bit more of the behind the scenes and some of the entertaining stories along the journey. So we can laugh a little bit, we can cry a little bit, but just give you some insight to just how special this organization is and all of my teammates. I will never forget the first call I got during free agency back in 2006. I had suffered a pretty bad shoulder injury with the San Diego Chargers, the last game of the 2005 season, going into an offseason where I did not have a contract. As I walked off the field with my shoulder stuck like this, the thought went through my mind, well, this is the last time I'll ever put on a Charger uniform, and you know what, it may be the last time I ever play football. I really felt like it could be that devastating. I remember going to see Dr. James Andrews 4 days later in Birmingham, Alabama, to which his response to me was, because there's so much swelling, the MRI is a little bit inconclusive. I know it's bad. I don't know how bad. I'm just going to have to get in there and find out. Okay. So, all right, doc, I trust you. So, puts me under, operates. I remember being in the recovery room, still a bit loopy with my wife by my side. And all I was saying to my wife was, did they have to cut? Did they have to cut? Because there was this whole back and forth about, depending on the severity of the injury, they may have to cut through a lot of muscle in order to fix what needed to be fixed, and that could set back the rehab process, and that had a lot to do with my future. And Dr. James Andrews came in the operating room and said, if I did that surgery 100 times, I couldn't do it as well as I just did it. And that's exactly what you want to hear from a surgeon after an event like that. He said, but I've done my part, and now the rest is on you. He said, this is 8 months, no sooner. 8 months before you can get on the field again, and 2 years before you're going to feel normal. I said, well, what does that mean? He says, you're just going to have to find out. So that put me on the journey, and it was short-term goals. Hey, doc, when can I get full range of motion? He said, that's 6 weeks. I said, all right, I'm going to beat it. What's the next objective? And he just kept setting short-term goals, just trying to get to a point in free agency where I could at least maybe impress somebody enough to give me an opportunity. And as free agency was approaching, there was a little bit of talk, not a lot, a few teams interested, mainly just wanting to know the prognosis and if there was even a chance that I could come back and play football again. After I had the surgery in Birmingham, Alabama in early January, it just happened to be that my in-laws lived in Birmingham. And so my wife Brittany and I basically found ourselves living with my in-laws for the next 4 months as I went through the rehabilitation process, which also involved me sleeping on the lazy boy chair in their living room because of, you know, the harness and everything else that my shoulder was in, and it was just the more comfortable way to sleep. And my father-in-law driving me to rehab every day, back and forth. So just what you want to be doing at age 28 is back living with your in-laws in Birmingham, Alabama. It was honestly the greatest thing for Brittany and I, despite the challenge of the moment, despite the fact that there was this doubt, this lingering doubt that I may not, that my dream had potentially just been ripped away from me and I would never be able to play professional football again. But being in such a loving environment for those 4 months and knowing that my every need was taken care of and I was getting up every day and I had those that were looking out for me. So Papa D, Mama D, thank you very much for that. So on the way back from one of these rehab sessions, I'm with my father-in-law, and I think it's about 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening, getting hungry, so we stop through the Arby's drive-thru, and my phone rings. I don't recognize the number, but I pick it up, and on the other line, it's, "Hey, Drew Brees, this is Sean Payton, head coach of the New Orleans Saints." I said, "Hey, coach, how you doing?" Mute. Look over to my father-in-law, "Who is Sean Payton?" That is a true story. At this point, it's like, hey, I'll take whatever I can get. You know, I'm at Arby's. Hey, I'll have two roast beef sandwiches. Bye, here, let me take this. Hey, coach, how you doing? That was the first conversation with Sean Payton. Hey, we want to bring you down to New Orleans on a visit. You know, excited to meet with you. Said I don't care what they're saying about your shoulder. I said, I've watched you for a long time. I know you. I know exactly what we're getting. I want you here. That meant a lot to me. And obviously the story from there with New Orleans and Miami and Saban and everything else. As the 2006 team began to be assembled that offseason, Scott Fujita was actually the first signee. I was the second, and then there was many more to come that really became the core, that really became the foundation for this run that we were about to make to Super Bowl 44. But some funny stories along the way. So I remember, and as many of us do, as it's probably emblazoned into their brains as being something that actually took years off their life, was Millsap's training camp. 06, 7, and 8. And I'm a quarterback. So I'm not running, I'm not hitting, I'm just trying to throw the ball effectively with a broke shoulder. And so as I'm bouncing balls off the turf in the beginning of training camp, and Pete Carmichael, Sean Payton is looking at Pete Carmichael saying, is he going to be able to complete a slant for us? We're all just trying to figure it out. Obviously the Superdome was still under construction, under repair. You know, our team facility had been taken over by the National Guard and was still, you know, being put back together. And so here we were at Millsaps College for 5 weeks. And it was truly, as Joe Vitt would call it, a Junction Boys moment, if you guys recall the show or the movie Junction Boys with Paul Bear Bryant when he went down to A&M and just absolutely destroyed that team in order to build them back up. That was pretty much what Millsaps College was for us during those 06, 07, and 08 training camps. Yes, training camp was difficult, but we were building, we were molding, we were strengthening. As we approached that off-season, or excuse me, that preseason, I remember our first game was at the Tennessee Titans, and this was our first time to kind of put the product on the field. There was only a few things I remember about that game. Number one, I think we won 9-6. But what I really remember is the fact that we had a quarterback named Adrian McPherson, who was a really good athlete, and he was going to return punts for us in that game. So he went out at halftime, and, you know, the kickers go out there and, you know, kind of get their legs sighted in again, and they're kicking balls to the punt returners, and here's Adrian McPherson catching punts in Tennessee on the field at halftime, and the Tennessee Titans mascot is just ripping around in a golf cart, you know, doing some kind of a halftime show, and hits Adrian McPherson as he's trying to catch a punt. And Adrian McPherson never played again. But it was awful. But like, it was a little bit of this like what more could happen to our team than what's happening right now? We're in Millsaps College. They're trying to kill us. We go on the road to think that we've escaped Millsaps College and training camp, and they're still trying to kill us. We go from there to Shreveport to play a home preseason game against the Dallas Cowboys. We get beat 50-10. Okay? I mean, it was... Scott Shanley was on that field, except he was on the Dallas Cowboys sideline. Then we play another home game at Jackson Memorial Stadium in Jackson against the Indianapolis Colts and proceed to get beat 42-7 or something like that. Maybe it was like 42-3. I remember it because starters were supposed to get pulled at halftime, and we ended up going into the third quarter because we got to a point where Sean Payton was like, just score just score points. And once you score points, I'll take you out. But I'm not taking you out until you score some points. So finally, I think we kick a field goal in like the early fourth quarter. And we get beat 42-3 or something like that. And I think the perception on the outside was, man, this is going to be a very long season. I think many of us for a moment said, we may not win a game. But there was a moment in that game where I'll never forget it. I'm coming off of the shoulder injury. I still haven't felt it. Each day is getting a little bit better, but I still haven't felt it. And there was one throw on this deep corner route on 3rd and long. Dante Stallworth, before we traded him for Mark Seminole, runs this corner route, and the ball comes out of my hands, and it was like slow motion in the way it was spinning, and then the way that it kind of fell into his grasp. And for a split second, it was like, that was it. And it was kind of late in the third quarter. Fourth quarter ends, we get whooped. We go into the locker room. Sean Payton kind of lost for words, not really knowing what to tell us. Hey, guys, keep your heads up. But, man, I could tell, like, he was super dejected and was like, man, you just kind of run out of positive things to say at some point. And I remember him going in his office, and I remember knocking on the door of his office in the bowels of Jackson Memorial Stadium, and open up the door, and he's sitting there and looking totally dejected, which is very unlike Sean Payton, usually very upbeat, positive, here we go. And I remember looking at him, and I just have like this grin on my face, and he's like, what could you be so excited about right now? And I said, Coach, I know that things look bleak. I know that this preseason has been really tough, but I'm telling you, I felt it. Like I can feel it coming. Like this team, my shoulder, I can feel it. And it was probably a pretty off-the-wall comment for him, especially based on what he had just seen on the field. And yet, it's a moment I'll never forget. Then we go to the Cleveland Browns and win that game 19-14. We go on the road against the Green Bay Packers, turn the ball over a couple times in the first half, find a way to win that game, and then the storied opening game back in the Dome, September 25th, 2006. Steve Gleason block punt. The eruption, absolutely. So 2006 ends up being a storybook season, right? Make it all the way to the NFC Championship game. I would definitely say that I think the feeling amongst us that we were a team of destiny. We were carrying the city of New Orleans with us each and every step of the way. There is no way we accomplished what we did that year without the heart and soul of this city with us every step of the way. I'll be honest with you, I think we were playing way above our heads. We were nowhere near as good as we thought we were, but that's because we were riding on pure passion and emotion and heart and soul from this city. So going into the 2007 season, we get into that off season, and before the season started, Sean Payton wanted to, it's a shame Sean isn't here to defend himself. Sean decided that, you know what, we need to throw all these accolades away from 2006, right? Like everybody's been kissing our butt all off season, right? We got work to do. So we're going to take all of the awards that all of us received from that 2006 season. You know, Sean Payton, Coach of the Year, you know, this award, that award, these Pro Bowls, and we're all going to put them in a coffin. We are going to dig a 6-foot hole next to the practice field. We are going to do a second line, and we are going to bury the accolades of the 2006 season in a grave next to our practice field. This happened, okay? So we did this, and his player's like, okay, I get the gist of it, but everything with Sean is theatrics, right? And it's like over the top, okay? So we go through a funeral ceremony for our 2006 accolades, and we bury them, and so we start off that season 0-4. 0-4, okay? And look, like we're pissed because we know we're better than this, and yet it's just, man, everything that could have gone wrong had gone wrong. We had lost a couple close games, certainly games we should have won, and we're better than this, right? So, Scott Fujita, Scott Shanley, Mark Semino, and Brittany and I, and all of our wives, we decide, you know what, let's all go out to eat Monday night. Let's just kind of blow off some steam. Like, let's just, you know, kind of reconvene on where we are. So, remember, we go to Houston's on St. Charles. We have a great meal. And as we get going a little bit, we said, you know what, like, just feel like we've kind of lost our mojo a little bit. You know, like, man, we had this mojo in 06. We had this energy. We had this, you know, like this confidence, right, this momentum. And we feel like all of a sudden that's just gone, like it got buried somewhere. And then it was like, well, yeah, it got buried next to the practice field during the off season. And it was like, something needs to be done about this. Let's go dig up the grave and get back our mojo. So immediately we call Terry, our maintenance guy with the Saints, and said, Terry, you still at the Saints facility? Yes. Leave a couple shovels next to the back door. Why? Don't worry about it. So we drive over to the Saints facility. All four of us and our wives, all right? The wives probably had a better perspective than us. And we grab those shovels and we start digging. And the wives are sitting there just laughing at us, but we are digging up. So we dig this 6-foot hole, we pull the grave out, we lay a tarp in the locker room, we put the grave there, we open it up, we kind of put all the awards out, and then we write a sign in Sharpie that just says, "We're back." So the next day, everybody comes walking in, and for the guys that hadn't been there, who maybe were new signees or whatever, they're looking at this like, what is going on? We got coffins in the locker room. But we rattled off 4 in a row after that, didn't we? So 2007 doesn't end the way we want, but really we won, you know, I think 8 of our last 13 games or something like that. And so if it wasn't for the slow start, you know, we felt like, man, we're clawing back to where we know we can be. 2008 rolls around. We end up making a few key signings. Jonathan Vilma comes in from the New York Jets, a few others. And look, we're still at Millsaps, right? We're still kind of at the tail end of what is like this misery of training camp. And finally, like, Sean Payton is going to throw us a bone. Now, this is back in like the real two-a-day days too, where you'd go 15 straight days of two-a-days and it was no problem, right? Those days are gone. But here we are grinding through a bunch of two-a-days, 2008 training camp, and all of a sudden Sean Payton, one day we come to the team meeting before practice and he's going to throw us a bone. It's like, hey guys, buses are pulling up, let's go jump on the bus. And it's like, oh, where are we going? You know, I'm taking you to the water park, right? So here we are, we're going to the water park. So literally Jackson, Mississippi, they closed down this water park for us. We're out there, we're having a good time, going down the slides, lazy river, all this stuff, right? And they end up having these really steep, chutes, right? I mean, just imagine like it's 3 stories high, this slide that goes down, and then see how far you can, you know, slide out. Probably, I don't know, maybe 20 yards to just kind of slow down, get a little friction of the water and slow down. And at the end, there's just like these little wood boards, these little wood slats. And then there's about 10 feet of concrete. And then there is a wooden fence, okay? So we get the bright idea that we should do offense versus defense and see who can make it the furthest on these, like the chutes at the bottom, right? And so it was like, okay, each side chooses up 4 guys, and you're beginning to like formulate your strategy. It's like, all right, let's get like a couple big guys up front. So they come down first and they kind of displace the water, and then the smaller, more torpedo-like guys, then they go and they're just gonna get a little bit further each time, okay? So I went last for the offense, and Scott Fujita went last for the defense. So here we were, offense, defense going down at the same time. Boom, you know, displace water. Next guy, second guy goes a little further. Third guy goes a little further. I come down fourth. Man, like my feet tap the board at the end. So I'm like, oh, we won. Like you can't go any further. So here goes defense. Boom, boom. Charles Grant. I think Charles Grant was third. So I don't know who was first or second if Charles Grant was third. Charles Grant was third, and Charles Grant being third, his feet touch the board. And then that's when it clicked that there's somebody else coming down that is going to go much further. So here goes Scott Fujita. This like Michael Phelps, slender missile of a body that just glides on top of the water. And I swear he is going 50 miles an hour as he hits this flat stretch. And he is not slowing down. He busts through the wood, skips off of the concrete, goes through the wood fence. And it's like a collective gasp amongst everybody who's there. And a moment goes by, and Fujita jumps up and he's facing us all because he's got spun around. And he just jumps up, yeah! And we're like, yeah! And then he turns around, and it is the worst road rash I have ever seen on a guy's back. And he starts walking, it takes about 10 steps, and then the adrenaline kind of goes away, and then literally the guy can't walk. What were you out for, like 3 weeks after that? But the best part of that story, not that that wasn't great, but the best part of that story was we wanted to have a little fun with Sean Payton, so Fuge puts together a letter that is from an attorney and sends it via like certified mail to Sean Payton. So Sean gets it, Sean opens it. We know when he gets it, when he opens it. And it's, dear Mr. Payton, we've been informed about the incident at the water park. Mr. Fujita has chosen to take counsel and is filing a lawsuit against you for your negligence, lack of awareness in the situation, blah, 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 blah. And for a moment, Sean took this serious as he stormed out of his office. But, we got to give it back to the head man every now and then, and that was one of those opportunities. Some other funny moments from the 08 season. So we play our first London game that year against my old team, the San Diego Chargers. We end up going to play the Carolina Panthers before we fly over the pond, and it was, call it distraction, whatever. Like we go to Carolina and we get beat pretty bad. Now look, they were a good team. I think they ended up being the 1 seed that year, but we get beat pretty bad. It was kind of a mess of a game. Jeremy Shockey discovered what Spark energy drink was prior to that game. And so, whereas like all of us normal people would have 1 before a game, Jeremy chose to drink 6. So Jeremy Shockey normal is like level 4. Jeremy Shockey with 6 energy drinks in his system is like level 18. So that was a wild game. We get beat pretty bad. We are on our way to the plane to fly over to London, really upset about the loss. Coach Payton decides to cut our punter, Steve Weatherford, on the bus. So Steve Weatherford gets off the bus. He'd had a rough couple weeks. his bags were already on the plane about to go to London, and he was going home. And so then we were scrambling to find another punter, which, Mickey, you could probably corroborate the story, but we had a couple punters in mind, but the guys we wanted didn't have passports, so we ended up having to sign a guy who had a passport, Ben Graham. Aussie rules punter, who I don't think he had punted in the league yet, but we signed him because he was the only guy we could find with a passport. All right. So we're off to a great start, right? So we get on the plane, we're on our way. Ben Graham's going to meet us there, wherever he was coming from, Australia, and we get to London, and once again, we kind of had moments as a team where it was like, hey guys, we need to blow some steam off, connect as a team. That usually resulted in some really funny things happening, hence digging up the grave and putting that in the middle of the locker room. So, hey, we're gonna go blow some steam off. We find this pizza joint that's just kind of right down the road from where we're staying in London. And guys kind of get word, and so it starts with 10 guys, and it's 20 guys, and it's 30 guys, and it's 40 guys, and literally, by the end of it, it's like we got the whole team. And we're in this like super authentic Italian pizza joint where literally like the guy serving us only speaks Italian. But we're having a good time, we're eating pizza, we're just blowing some steam off. And at the end of it, we decide that we are gonna play credit card roulette. So, for those of you who don't know what that is, it basically means that one person is gonna pay for the meal, and you can do it one of two ways. Everybody puts their credit cards in a hat, and the first one you choose is the one who pays, or you just take it all the way down to the wire. You start choosing, and then the last one left is the one who pays. So we like the suspense. So here we are, like 50 credit cards in the thing. Somebody's gonna end up having to pay for the whole thing. So towards the end of the night, we had a safety named Kevin Casefaharn. Kevin Casefaharn was probably the most conservative dude like you've ever met, from the perspective of, I think he wore the same light blue sweatshirt every time he came to the office. He drove the same car he had driven since like junior year of high school. Like, he came and sat down and literally had like bread and water, okay? And we had been there for 4 hours, okay? So he sits down, and sure enough, we get to the end of credit card roulette, and it's down to two names. It's down to Kevin Casefaharn and Buck Ortega. Buck Ortega was a practice squad tight end. So it's the practice squad guy who's making next to nothing, just getting beat up every day on practice squad. And it's he's the most conservative, most frugal guy on the team. And one of these guys is gonna get stuck with the biggest bill that you've ever seen. And so right now we're like, hey guys, why don't y'all just split it? Or like, and we'll help you out. And they're like, no, let it ride, we gotta go. And the funny thing is part of the comedy of this whole thing was that our Italian-speaking server, who did not speak any English, every name he pulled out, it was more comedy just to listen to him read the names off of the credit cards. So here we are, drum roll please, we're all going crazy. He's gonna draw one of these last names out of the hat, and here he goes, and he draws it out, and he looks at it, and it is the one name he can pronounce. Buck Ortega! So Kevin Casefaharn gets stuck with the bill. And after that, literally we went on like 3 dinners with Kevin Casefaharn after we ate sushi, went to like a steak joint with us. We did credit card roulette every time, and Kevin Casefaharn got stuck with credit card roulette 4 meals in a row. To the point where he's like, hey guys, appreciate the invite, but I'm gonna pass. So that was an eventful week. Good thing, we won that game in big fashion. It did come down to a moment at the end. Again, this is kind of where the Ben Graham thing circles back. So we have a situation in football, it's called take a safety. This rarely ever happens. In fact, it only happened one time, I think, in our 15-year history here. And yet we practice it every day, every week. We call the group out, hey, it's take a safety, take a safety. And basically the idea is that you get the punt team out there, you snap the ball to the punter runs into the end zone, and then just kind of runs around to waste time, and then we end up taking a safety. Because, through the formula, based on where you are in the game, end of the game, you would rather take the safety and get your kick team out there than try to punt to maybe a dangerous punt returner, right, if it's a one-score game. So here we get to the end of this game. Ben Graham has been with us for 4 days because he was the only one with a passport. And we get into a situation at the end of the game where it's like, this is a take a safety situation. And so they send the punt team out there, and I remember looking at Ben Graham, I looked at Sean Payton, he looked at me, and I'm like, this guy doesn't know what take a safety is. So timeout high, and I'm like, coach, just put me out there. Like, I'll just take the ball. We're at the 35-yard line. I'm like, I'll take the ball, and I'll just turn around, I'll just throw it through the goalpost behind us, so that we take the safety, we get the return team out there, or the kick return team out there, because we're about to kick a ball to Darren Sproles. Dangerous, right? We all know Sproulsy. So it's like, all right, let's think about this a little bit further. So I go out there, and it's like, hey, I'm just going to turn around and throw the ball, but I'm like, there's 17 seconds. I really like to run more time off. So I snapped the ball, and it was like, I'll just start running. And I ran 30 yards back into the end zone, end up throwing it out. There's one camera guy that's sitting in the back of the end zone. It literally hits the camera guy in the head. Like, you can't make this up. We end up kicking the Sproles, but we have a better coverage unit out there. We get him down. We end up winning the game, right? But that was the Ben Graham full circle moment, and just kind of bringing it all together from that time. So 08, the other, I hope you guys like these stories, because these are like, all right. We're having fun. So end of the 08 season, like, man, we're just catching our stride. Like, we feel it coming, right? We feel it coming. We feel like we're on the cusp, but man, because of kind of some back and forth during the season, with losing some games maybe we shouldn't have, we find ourselves in a position where we're really just kind of fighting to get in the playoffs, right? So here we are, second to last game of the season. We are going to play the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions are 0-14, right? This is like Christmas Eve. So we're going to play them. It's like, oh, well, you can't lose to the winless Lions on Christmas. Sean Payton had this buddy from Chicago. What was our guy's name? Imperato. Joey Imperato. All right, just think about that name for a second. Joey Imperato from Chicago. So Joey Imperato would call occasionally, and he would leave Sean. He was like a childhood friend of Sean's. He would leave these messages that were like supposed to be motivational. Like, man, if we played a crummy game, like, he would call up and leave Sean a message where he's just like reaming him out, right? And every other word is a 4-letter word. But this one, it was like, hey, coach, you got a good thing going right now. But you're playing these winless Lions. They're better than you think they are, coach. And he's like literally playing this for us in a team meeting. Because literally it was like, guys, there's nothing I can tell you about this game better than this message left to me by Joey Imperato, right? So listen to what Joey has to say. Coach, if you don't beat these guys, earmuffs, kids. No. He goes, this will be a eating Christmas. So we're like, all right, well, we know what we got to do. So we go out in this game. Well, okay, back up. I don't know what it is about punters, but we signed a new punter that week named Glenn Pakalak. Remember Glenn Pakalak? Glenn Pakalak's claim to fame, besides being a punter for the New Orleans Saints, was he was on like Bachelors in Dallas or something like that a couple years later, okay? I'm sure you can go back and find it. So Glenn Pakalak, good guy, from Detroit, Michigan. So we bring him in that week. Man, like first time punting, first NFL game in front of my home fans. So he's scrambling all week like, hey, you got 2 extra tickets. Like, I got to buy it. This guy buys like 64 tickets to the game because he's going to have all his friends and family going back to his hometown of Detroit. And then we've got all this drama of 0-14. Man, we better get our mind right. Joey Imperato's calling us out. Like, we got to go. So we go into this game, and look, like, truly, yeah, on paper they were 0-14, but they were a much better team than what their record said. Tons of close games, blah, 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 right? Like, I mean, Sean Payton made him out to be Goliath. So we get into this game, and we score a touchdown on every single possession. Every single possession. And we win the game 42-7. Every one of these was like long drive, third down. Oh, we get it. 4th and 1, we're going to go for it. Like, we score on every single drive to win this game 42-7. So what does that mean? It means that Glenn Pakalak never saw the field. 64 tickets. Where's Mike Stanfield? 64 tickets times, I don't know, $150 each. That was a very expensive non-performance. And that led us all to the 09 season, where, hey. '06, dream season, carrying New Orleans with us every step of the way. '07, '08, man, maybe we aren't as good as we thought we were. We have a lot of work to do. We still have some pieces to bring in. The Jonathan Vilmas, the draft classes, especially that '09 draft class coming in, the contributions that all those guys made. But here we are now, '09, feeling like we're on the cusp, and we're building something. And now we have all the pieces in place. That was the most competitive off-season training camp that we've ever been a part of. We were back in our home facility, in front of our home fans every day, just battling it out. Like iron sharpens iron, like that was the mentality. We had some unbelievable speakers that off-season. Ronnie Lott, Avery Johnson, where we adopted this mantra of smelling greatness and being special and finishing strong. We developed a captain's council where, like, man, we are going to lean on one another. We are going to hold each other accountable. We are going to extract the best out of this team. Like, when Sean Payton will always tell you that, like, the best teams are the ones that at some point the players take control of the team. And it's no longer that the coach has to give you instructions for everything. That the players know when something needs to be policed. Players know when something needs to be said. Players know when something needs to be done. Which brings me to a moment during the '09 season. I think it was early in the season. Sean Payton loved padded practices, especially coming off tough days where he just felt like, all right, kind of a gut check day. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. Don't even look for it, right? Like you just take it one play at a time. We're going to grind. So we get to one of these moments. I think it's a Wednesday or Thursday practice, probably a Thursday practice, where he's like, hey, we're going to go full pads. It's like, Wednesday's a full pad day. Thursday's not supposed to be a full pad day. So this newly formed captain's council, we get together in the locker room and we're looking at each other. It's Velma, it's Fujita, it's a few others, and we're sitting there like, hey, like Sean wants us in full pads. Like, man, guys are tired, like guys need a little bit of a rest. Like, man, we'll go out there, we'll fly around, but we don't need to be in full pads. It's like, let's go tell Sean Payton we're not going full pads today. Like, he's always said, this is when, like, the players take control of the team, you know? It's like the next step in our evolution is leaders, right? So we tell everybody, hey, get dressed in shells, no pads. You know, everybody's pumped. So we go walking out onto the practice field. And I'm usually one of the last guys out to the practice field. So I'm in the locker room, and our guys go out there, and it's like, wow, like going to wow, you know. And then like 3 minutes later, they all come walking in, kind of tails tucked between their legs. Hey, Sean's not very happy. Fujita comes over to me, he's like, Sean Payton said, what is this, a coup? Like, you trying to like overthrow the system here? Put pads on and get your butts back out here. So we put our pads on and we went out to practice. I'll give Sean a ton of credit. I think what we all knew about and trusted about Sean was that he always knew what was best for us. We always trusted him to do what was always in the best interest of the team. And there were moments where that wasn't always what we liked to hear, or having to do the things that we wanted to do. And yet we always knew that it was getting us ready to win, and not just win, but preparing us to be champions. And sure enough, as that season progressed, I think we all saw the fruits of the 3 seasons prior, and the building and the molding and the strengthening and the adding the pieces to the puzzles through trades, through free agency. And I give our personnel department, Mickey Loomis, so much credit, because winning in anything, but especially in football, it is about culture, and it is about leadership, and it is about getting the right people in the right seats on the bus and getting them to be the very best at where they are at that moment, giving them a vision for what can be through hard work, through dedication, through commitment, and through trusting in the system. And there's a lot of places that you go, and I can't say that those guys trust what they're being told or trust the path that they're on. But I will say every day, we trusted exactly the path that we were on and the place that we were going. And that leadership came from Mickey, that leadership came from Sean, that leadership came from so many of the coaches that they brought in that became mainstays here for so long. And then it came from the leaders. All of us who became better players, but more importantly, better men and better leaders as a result of being a part of this organization. And I learned so many things from professional football. I learned about leadership. I learned about perseverance. I learned about overcoming adversity. But the thing that I learned most about this game and about being a part of this organization was how to be a great teammate. And I learned that because I was surrounded by great teammates every day. I probably played 4 years longer than I ever could have expected. I went into the 17 season honestly feeling like that could potentially be my last season. And I kept playing in large part because of my kids and knowing that this would be something that they would remember for the rest of their life and could be a part of and could see now that they were old enough to understand the things that had helped to mold me and strengthen me along the way. Being in the locker room, watching guys like Jimmy Graham, like Michael Thomas, like Zach Streif, like so many guys just work their tail off and work through so much and struggle through so much and just be the same guy every day. That's why I played those extra years, but I also played those extra years because every day I woke up saying to myself, I want to win for the guys in the locker room. I do not want to let them down. I have too much to play for. And the journey was remarkable. The lessons, the traits, the attributes learned were remarkable. And this is one of those places, and one of those cities, and one of those communities that, man, once you are a part of it, it is in your blood forever. And I can think of no greater club, no greater organization to be a part of than the Saints Hall of Fame, because of all of the incredible people, all of the incredible teammates that get to share in this, and the moments that we will continue to be able to create in the future as we watch our kids and our families grow up together. And we're always reminded of the years that truly molded us. So thank you very much.
Now I'll unveil a portrait of Drew Brees for the Saints Hall of Fame, and it's got plenty memories of his career, not just his painting, but check out the memories as well. Jimmy, Gail, if you will. One more round of applause for Saints Hall of Famer Drew Brees. I know we're getting on in time. 2 or 3 more quick things. One, we have our alumni weekend is different this weekend. It's usually the same weekend, but this year it's going to be November 15th, 16th in conjunction with the game with the Cleveland Browns that weekend. And we'll have all of our alumni that can be in town. A whole bunch of them will be there at Chateau Country Club with 20 restaurants and caterers We have tickets today, but you can go to saintshallofFame.com for more information. And otherwise, thank you. Wear black tonight at the game, okay? Everyone wear black. See you at the game, and go Saints. God bless you one and all. Thank you.